Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Johnny Fisher, known as the Romford Bull, made a successful start to his pro career, stopping Matt Gordon inside a round in the UK on a Matchroom card. So this was pretty much all action from the beginning. Johnny Fisher coming forward, clearly not really respecting Gordon and his power, whatever he had to bring, and he was just letting his hands go. And actually it was a pretty impressive performance for his first pro fight. He's got a limited amateur background, sort of fallen into pro boxing from, you know, a little bit of time in the university scene, and he looked pretty good. Came forward, he was letting his right hand go. There were body shots, he was looking for uppercuts, jabs to the body, and you got the sense that this one wasn't going to go too long. And it didn't. So all over inside 2.5 minutes, 2 knockdowns. The first, Fisher caught Gordon with a good right hand, side of the head, and from that point Gordon was sort of staggering, backing up, and ended up sort of hitting the ropes, going down. And then after that, Gordon was again hit by another right hand as Fisher swarmed him. The referee looked at Gordon after he beat the count and didn't like what he saw, so he waved it off. So it was all over, lickety split. Matt Gordon stopped inside a round by Johnny Fisher, who advances to 1-0. So, yeah, interesting sort of performance. You can tell that Johnny Fisher has a lot of potential, still quite raw, so I'm not going to sort of big him up to the nth degree because clearly he's a work in progress. This, you know, guys having their first pro fight, of course we expect that. After the fight, he said that he felt good. Pressure was lifted off his shoulders by getting the win, and he admitted he's got loads more building to do and that there is room for improvement. And one thing that he's noticed from the amateurs to the pros, and bearing in mind he's recently turned over, he's got Mark Tibbs as his trainer. He felt that his right hand, he's getting it off better now than he did as an amateur. So he can already sort of see that progression in a short time. And Eddie Hearn, his promoter, he said that it's unique that Fisher had come through the university scene as opposed to coming up through the amateur ranks as a youth, etc., which is the normal path, go to Team GB, etc. He said it was a unique sort of way for him to come into the sport, but they won't be rushing him, and he said he needs experience and that there will be baby steps. So given he is quite young, 23 years old I believe, there is time for him to be molded and develop, and it'll be interesting to see what he can actually do and how far he can go, because based off the limited sort of footage that we saw there, and bearing in mind Matt Gordon had faced a guy, David Adelai, also Doran Krasmaru, you know, I think Fisher's performance was comparable. That, you know, he actually looked pretty composed in there. He was pretty patient, even though he was letting his hands go. He wasn't rushing his work, and he was picking his spots. And overall, I thought for a first fight, pretty impressive. I mean, obviously we've got to see more to really know where he's headed and what his whiskers are like, etc. He hasn't obviously taken any real sort of shot in this one, but overall I liked what I saw, and I think, you know, he does seemingly have good power, and Matt Gordon felt that, didn't like it, and it was all over inside a round. What did you make of that performance? Where do you see Johnny Fisher going, bearing in mind there's been quite a bit of hype by his manager Sam Jones, who is a good hype man, but most of his fighters have been backing it up in the ring. So I'm interested to see the progression of Fisher, and I think the next year or two we could see him work towards that English sort of title level, ultimately maybe a British title, and from there, as Eddie Hearn sort of said, after that point it's up to him where he goes in the sport and how far he can go. But I like what I saw first up. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.